That's not good. So it's an abandoned mainline tunnel that was abandoned. Used to be a haulage gangway to a coal mine, but now is an abandoned rail line. So it's once a coal mine. You can see up here, that would be soot from the stack of the steam locomotive. They would have been barreling through these tunnels. This old colliery remnants. Decent condition considering. So this is like one big haulage gangway in a coal mine, and they just made it bigger and they decided to haul trains through here. You can hear the sounds of the water that will drip most likely till the next ice age. Then and only then will this thing probably get eroded, because it's driven through solid rock. There's virtually no collapse. And it's been abandoned for a very long time. Many millions of tons of anthracite coal was hauled through this tunnel. You'd like to think one day that they would bring back a tunnel like this, but probably not. A lot of men got killed carving this out of the earth. Like a frog. That's sad. A frog just jumped into acid mine drainage. He'll be alright. But you think about something like this that would be active for 100 years, and then one day they just stop hauling trains. And they were in such a hurry during abandonment they didn't even lift the rail to scrap. You can't even see the other end of the tunnel. This thing is so big. It doesn't even have the aesthetic of a train tunnel. It has the aesthetic of a gangway in a coal mine for sure. So we're in the abandoned mainline locomotive tunnel. And off to the left and right, this is abandoned mine gangway. So they shored this up with the old type of stone you see in old building foundations, such as like in the old schools. And then they shored up the roof in a three-piece timber set. And undoubtedly, when they drove this tunnel, again, this was an old haulage tunnel for a coal mine before it was a railroad tunnel, but they would have obviously gotten coal miners to drill this tunnel because they had the engineering and physical know-it-all to do such a huge Herculean task, because this is big. This is a really big tunnel. So it's just very cool that they reinforced the roof because they were worried about it obviously come down, and it's much more serious when a train is barreling through here at 50 to 70 miles an hour, hauling millions of pounds. It'd be a catastrophic issue with multiple fatalities and a lot of loss of capital. So that's why you see such a big 3-piece timber set, and the reinforcement, which is obviously load bearing too, where it used to be an open gangway to the left and right. And they would have also done that to prevent methane from also coming into the tunnel, which could be an issue in black damp. They don't want black damp in here. Now a train barreling through here wouldn't be an issue with black damp, but you still don't want. Absolutely awesome to see an extinct coal mine entrance inside of an abandoned locomotive tunnel. So abandoned mainline locomotive tunnel. You can see all the anthracite soot / exhaust smoke. It's made a big soot line in a straight path. You can even see it down there on the roof. It's definitely soot. But here's where it gets good. 3-piece timber sets to an abandoned anthracite mine. It just happened to coincide through the tunnel. And again, this was a coal mine before it was a train tunnel. And then if you look up here, where this brick goes, that would be the extent of the strata for the coal that they were worried about. Meaning there would be shale and loose rock in the coal itself, and the coal would be running in a similar fashion. It's not running horizontal. But there's another mine opening. You can see again these rocks that are like foundations to old schools, little heavy hitter stuff, and then the brick archway. And the arch is a naturally strong supporting architecture feature. But that's wild that trains would blow through here. And these were active coal mines. I don't know who spray painted that, but whatever. But they are in fact right, because this is pretty effed. It's collapsed. Just one working until there. Very cool. Cylindrical brick with soot. And look at that former mine gangway. The way they filled that in for structural support is pretty neat. Interesting design. It wasn't just vertical. But there's another mine opening. Side of the train tunnel. Mine is just blown. And the way that they, almost like a subway, truly is almost a perfect circle. And this is one of the intersecting coal mine gangways / tunnels or drifts or even headings. But what's cool is this has a gate that is similar fashion for a vertical shaft landing, so you don't fall into the vertical shaft. And definitely old Victorian Gilded Age iron. So cool. So off of the abandoned train tunnel, and here's more steep pitch coal mine workings. Look at that. That's at a high rate because here's the tunnel. Just awesome overhead support, which looked, I don't know if they're rail ties, they might be rail ties, but absolutely awesome. You can see where the rail picks up. But these overhead workings are very steep. I don't know if those were airways. No, they're probably just old working, old chute system up there. So this would predate the or the railroad tunnel. Wow, those timbers are pretty sweet. And you could crawl up. Remarkable. Astounding. Oh, the Irish probably drove this. Wow. Yep, this is soot, physical soot buildup in the abandoned train tunnel. You could scrape that like spackle. Wow. So that train would be blasting down here and it would just collect for whatever reason. Maybe it was naturally wet and it would adhere. Wow. Never saw anything like that. This was the locomotive soot. Look at that. Can you kill your light real quick? Underexpose this real quick, but wow. So here is the train tunnel roof, and you could see the drill holes from when they were driving. They would have driven from the top and worked their way down. And you can see where they had some worries for reinforcing the roof. Amazing. So we're in the abandoned train section where the rail's been pulled. And you can see these wooden roof supports, like a cabin roof out west. Big, big. These are not ties. These are way bigger than railroad ties. They were worried about the strata, and rightfully so, because I'm standing on cave-in. Some of us about 5-6 feet high. Yeah, look at that wood. Most likely oak. White oak to resist rot. Never any moisture. It looks like it was just put in yesterday. Very cool. So the rock strata has changed in this tunnel. We're in some sort of hard red rock. It seems to be pretty hard, but there's also a lot of cave-ins throughout, so it's got some instability and imperfections in it. They lift the rail here. This is a whole different aesthetic the further you go down. Look at this roof. So cool. And here it's turned into a molded mess, and it's actually collapsing all over. This red shell is very unstable. You can see it. There's part of the roof. So a train tunnel has become like an abandoned mine. But it technically has an abandoned series of mines in it. Anyway, so it's come full circle. So this is what happens when an abandoned railroad tunnel suffers from collapse because it dams up the dripping water. It's not flowing water from a creek, this is just drippage that has accumulated. But this is exactly what happens. There's overhead support that rots out, and then it drops the roof. This huge roof collapsed down there. But the water becomes dangerously deep with all these timbers, and it has all the hallmarks of an abandoned coal mine. Nature slowly reclaiming itself. And look at the mold. That mold will eat away at the structural integrity and cause issues like this massive collapse. This collapse is about 10 feet off the floor. Even though it's driven through solid rock, there's imperfections and little slip zones of quartz and different rock strata, and definitely shale because it intersects coal and it will cause catastrophic cave-ins. That's why this water's backed up. Walking the old route of the old train. Look at that A&D. Solid, baby. Built by the Irish, most likely. The abandoned railroad tunnel. This is not used. You can see that's delaminated. Man, look at all that soot on the roof. But these tracks, could probably run a train on these. Look at that. Solid rock. Unbelievable. Passenger service would have came ripping through here, and anthracite service and freight. Does the bear this? Walking the nearly intact, abandoned track. This is a true gem. My grandfather, Edmund, also known as Ted, was yard master for the Delaware and Hudson Railroad. This is not a G&H operation. My other uncle, his son, my father's brother, he worked for D&H and CP Rail for a number of years. I've always had a thing for trains, but this is really cool. I didn't think I'd ever see an intact train tunnel with the tracks still on it. Stay dry. Just a very aesthetically pleasing mine here with all the colors and the stability of the mostly solid rock. Coming up on acid mine drainage stalactites. Rail that is suspended in the acid mine drainage, which will in time degrade them totally and cause their demise, but that's a big one. Someone broke it off. Wow. See the bricks. These walls could talk. Good stuff. Right up here, you can still see the soot. That is layered. Look at the brick. You can see the steam exhaust. Wow. All that soot. Remarkable. There's the shaft-looking gate. This would be an old mining portion of the tunnel. You can see their craftsmanship. Neat. They did some sort of weird load bearing with the masonry there. With the archway, and then on this side there's another opening. So this would have been an old mining gangway, except for the fact now that there's an abandoned full gauge locomotive set of tracks. It's crazy. Stuff of dreams. A legendary find. So here again is where the mine gangway would have been, and they just did this intricate rock work. There's some gobbing up there. Wow, they did not want that to cave in. And look at that brick archway. I guess they would have wanted the mines to still not build up water, so it became an issue where it would blow out. So they wanted it to drain out the tunnel. But then again, you see that rock at that weird angle in the midway part. That's all man-made. That's all concrete and brick. Vaulted arch ceiling. Wow. Take a zoom-in shot of the old mine opening. It's insane. The anthracite coal mine tunnels off of